Hello, boys and girls. Welcome back for some fun summer activities that you can do while you're not in school. And most of these things you can find at home. If not, they're pretty inexpensive at the store. My lighting's a little bit dark here. I'm in the shade, so bear with me. I'm going to share my screen so you can see what I'm doing. Today we're doing 3 different experiments, and the first one is called bubble snakes. And I've never done this one before, so you're going to have to see if it works. The first thing that you need is a little 20-ounce bottle or some kind of tube, maybe like a Pringles can might work. I have a Mountain Dew can that I had, a small little shallow tray that you can put something in, and you also need some bubbles. I have a little bit left, so I hope it'll work. I have some bubbles. You need a rubber band and an old sock or some kind of cloth. So what you're going to do, and this part is really important. Remember, when we talk about experiments, you always want to ask your parents' permission. Some of these, you're going to need your parents' help. For example, on this one, you need to cut the bottom off of your bottle. This is really dangerous. I had to use a knife, so please don't try this without an adult. And if they don't want you to do it, then that's okay. You can cut it with scissors or a knife, but make sure you ask an adult. So you're going to cut the bottom off of your bottle. And then you're going to take your little container. See, you're going to take your little container and fill it with your bubbles. You're going to pour your bubble solution in there. Next, you're going to take your gross sock or your cloth, and you're going to put it on this part of your bottle. Be careful because these edges are sharp. So I'm going to put it on top. I'm going to move to the camera so it'll be easier for me to put it on. Be very, very careful. I don't want you to cut yourself. And you're going to pull it tightly all the way down so that your sock is like this. And then you're going to use your rubber band to tie it around the sock so that it doesn't go anywhere. Okay, and I've never done this before, so we'll see if it works. What you're going to do is you're going to take the lid off of your bottle, and that's where you're going to put your mouth. Make sure that when you are blowing bubbles that you don't breathe in, because you don't want to choke on all that bubble and soap and all of that. So what you're going to do is you're going to dip your bottle and your sock in that bubble juice like that. Make sure it's wet. I don't know if it's going to work, but then you're going to put it up to your mouth, this part to your mouth, and you're going to blow and see if you can make some snakes. Can you see it? So look, you may have a big bubble snake. You get all these big, see how long you can make your bubble snake. So if you have these materials at home, try to do that by yourself. That's really fun and easy. And you can do it for a really long time. As long as you have that bubble juice, then you will be good to go. Okay, the next one is rain cloud in a jar. So what you need is a mason jar. I have a little tiny one. So you need a mason jar. You need water. So I brought a big cup of water out here. I'm going to set it on the floor so it doesn't spill over. You need some shaving cream. So your dad might have some shaving cream. You might have some laying around in the bathroom. Make sure you ask permission if you're going to use it. You need shaving cream. You also need some food coloring. You can use whatever color you want, but since we're talking about rain and water, I figured blue would be a good color to use. So I'm going to use blue food coloring. And you also need a little dropper. I have this little thing that you use in the kitchen if you want to put juices inside of a meat or something. I'm going to try to use this today and hope that it works out. And you might also need another small cup of water. So that's what I'm going to use. So first, before we start, I'm going to make my rain. So I'm going to have some water in here. I'm going to take my food coloring and just drop some in there so it turns my water blue. Okay. Then I'm going to use my little stir to stir it up. And then what you do is you put some of this water inside here. So it's like our little dropper. If you have a little dropper at home, that might be easier to use, but you want to have some water inside here. Okay, so I'm finished with that. I'm going to move this water away so it's out of my way. Next, what you want to do is you want to take this mason jar. You can use a big one if you want. You'll just need more water. And we're going to fill this mason jar up 3/4 the way full. So we have 3/4 worth of water. So remember, when you break something into quarters, that's 4 pieces. So we need to think 1, 2, 3, 4. We went 3/4 of the way full. So it's not all the way to the top, but it's pretty close. And you might have to eyeball it a little bit to make sure that you get it right. I'm gonna pour some in there. Okay, I'm about half right now. I'm gonna go a little bit more, probably to right there. I don't want to turn it over because it'll spill, but you want 3/4. If you need help from your parents to measure that out, ask their help. Okay, you've got 3/4 of the way full. Now you're gonna shake up your shaving cream and you're gonna make a big cloud at the top of your mason jar. So you're gonna take out your shaving cream and you're gonna fill up the rest of it with shaving cream. You wanna make sure that the shaving cream sits on the top. I'm gonna spray my cloud. It's gonna go on the top. It's going to expand a little bit because remember, we're making rain in a jar. So I'm going to see if I can hold it up to the camera, see if you can see it. Okay. So we got 3/4 water and we've got the cloud on top. So your shaving cream is the cloud. So remember, when we talk about weather, what happens when it rains is that the cloud gets oversaturated. It gets too heavy. It's too full of water. So that's what we're recreating today. So we have our weather, we have our atmosphere at the bottom, we have our cloud on the top. And so when that precipitation, all that water and all that blue rain that we're going to use, we're going to drop it in there. And when it starts to get heavy, it's going to get in the cloud. The cloud's going to get too heavy and then it's going to start to rain. So I hope that this experiment works. Let's see if we can do it together. You don't want to pour a bunch of rain in because remember, rain is kind of like rain droplets. So we're just going to do a little bit at a time. I'm going to use my little squeeze thing and just do a little bit at a time. It might take some time for the cloud to get heavy. It's windy here. Okay, so my cloud's starting to get saturated. Oh, let me see if I can hold it up to the camera, see if you can see it better. So I'm dripping my raindrops in the cloud, and the cloud is starting to get heavy. I can tell because it's starting to form rain clouds at the top. So maybe once it starts raining, you'll be able to see. A little bit more. You're going to keep pouring just drop by drop. You don't want to do too much. And it's going to start to rain in your jar. So you can see that you're starting to see some blue in the water. It's starting to come down. It's starting to rain because my cloud is getting oversaturated. It's getting way too heavy, and the rain has to go somewhere. It has to go into the atmosphere. So the rain will start to rain in the jar. And that's why we're starting to see blue in the water, in the clear water. So if you do it, the more you see, the more rain will start to come in your water. So you can play with that a little bit, try different densities. You can try all different kinds of things. Okay. And we have one last experiment. And this one, most people do in the summer or in the winter, but we're going to do it today just for fun. And what it is a homemade bird feeder. So if you have birds that live in your backyard, or you want to see some more birds, or maybe even some other animals that are hungry, what you can do is make a DIY bird feeder. And it's really simple because you might already have some of this stuff in your house. I had to go to the store and buy some bird seed because I didn't know what kind of seeds birds like other than just the kind of bird food that you can buy at the store. So I went to the store and found this big container of bird seed for $3 or $4. You could probably get it at the Dollar Tree too, but I have just some regular bird seed, and that's what we're going to use today. So I have my bird seed. You also need a knife. So mine already has peanut butter on it because we're going to use peanut butter. You need a knife, a straw, some peanut butter, which I just put in a little ramekin so I didn't have to bring my whole jar out here, and a plate, and you also need a piece of bread. So I recommend a piece of really old stale bread that nobody wants anymore. Mine kind of got a little bit burnt. I put it in the toaster because I wanted it to be really hard and really dry because this bread was fresh. But Miss Owen doesn't like the end pieces of bread, so I thought, maybe the birds will like to eat this instead. So what we're going to do is you're going to get a plate with your straw and your bread, and you also need a string. I got some ribbon. If you have some yarn, or if you have maybe even some floss might work, or some kind of string or twine, you can use that too. I'm just going to use some string because we want to hang this up in a tree so that a bird can feel safe while they're eating it. So this should be pretty easy. What you're going to do is you're going to take your dried out stale bread, or you can try to toast a piece like me. Hopefully it works. And you're going to take your straw and you're going to poke a hole through the top of your bread like that, because we want to have a place for it to hang and a place to put our string. So you're going to feed your string through your bread. You're going to tie it. And you want to make sure that your bread is dry and that it's pretty crunchy, because if you don't and your bread is too soft, then when you try to hang it, it's going to break and fall off and just go to the ground. So you really want to make sure that you have a dry piece of bread, maybe one that's stale and old that your mom is going to throw away anyway, or you can ask if you can use the end piece and maybe throw it in the toaster like I did so that's really hard. Okay, because that'll be easier for it to hang and it won't blow away and fall off the tree. Next, what you're gonna want to do is take your knife. You can use a plastic knife. Make sure you ask an adult permission. And I have just some creamy peanut butter. So what you're gonna do is you are going to put the peanut butter all over your bread. I'm gonna do one side for now, but you can use both sides if you want to. I think the birds would like it better if you had it on both sides, but just for this video, I'm only gonna do one side because it's gonna get pretty messy. But before we start, you're gonna have another plate. To make this a little bit easier, I'm going to pour my bird seed onto this plate, because what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of dip it. Pour my bird seed on here like this. And if you have any left over, or you make lots of these and hang them all in your tree, you could probably just scatter some of this bird seed on the ground or put it in like a little bowl that's high up for them to eat. They'd probably eat it that way too. So what you're going to do is take your bread, get your peanut butter, like you're making a peanut butter sandwich. You're going to put that peanut butter all over your bread, because you got to have something sticky for the bird seed to stick to. If not, it's just going to fall onto the ground. Put this. Remember, when you're watching these experiments, you can always pause the video if I'm going too fast or you need some time to get your materials. You can always do that. We're not going anywhere. Spread your peanut butter a little bit more on the bottom. Remember, you can do both sides of this bread, but I'm only going to show you one so it doesn't get too messy and I don't get peanut butter and bird seed all over my computer. Okay, when my bread has a good amount of peanut butter, all you're going to do is flip it onto the bird seed like this and really push it down so that all that bird seed sticks to the peanut butter. You might want to move it around. Get all that, as much bird seed as you can. Okay, and then you're gonna have bird seed all over your bread. Okay, so this is a good DIY bird feeder. If you make one, please, or if you make any of these experiments, please share them to the White Station Facebook page so we can see them. I'm gonna go hang them in that tree over there, and let me know if you see any birds this summer. I'll see you on Friday for some tasty experiments. There's gonna be 3 experiments that are really awesome, so make sure you check that back out on Friday. I will see you next time, boys and girls. Bye-bye.